On this week's episode of The Dead Life, I'm delighted to be talking to Margaret Jameson and learn all about her definition of a gray witch. She is a multi-generation witch whose roots are found in Appalachian Grannies and her Scottish heritage. She's going to tell us about her spells, fabulous dragon's blood sage, and her potions and oils. You can follow me on Instagram at Medium Allison. You can find me on my Facebook fan page. You can binge on my YouTube videos, and you can see me live in Scottsdale, Arizona on June 18th. Ticket information can be found at AllisonDubois.com. Well, Margaret, it's such a pleasure to talk to you today. I know my listeners are going to be charmed by you. Do depictions of witches in Hollywood bother you?
Yes. I think that stereotype is very harmful
Yeah,
because there's witches all among us, and they don't look like that, Allison.
right. Right. I felt the same way about mediums. And so when my television series Medium came out, it was important to me that I be seen in a suit because that's what I wore to work. And I was educated, I college graduate, and I could still be a medium. And people seem to have some idea of what that should be. So I wondered with witches if, practical magic and hocus pocus and, shows that we love during Halloween. What about the depiction of witches? Is it the stereotyping of witches with the black pointy caps and the brooms, but you have a broom in the background?
I think more than anything, uh, the depictions that are fear-mongering depictions are the ones that are the most harmful. I personally love the movie Practical Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the witches I know do.
Yeah.
That shows a clear depiction, I think, of how most witches, believe and act in our country. It shows the intergenerational knowledge being passed down. And I think that it shows witches wanting to help people in the community and share that knowledge. I think the depictions that bother me the most are the ones where you have hexes and curses and uh, bad things befalling people at the hands of witches.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's when they make them particularly dark in nature is what you mean, or maybe too light even, which is why you refer to yourself as more of a gray witch.
I do. I think one of the things also that's missing from the depictions is that witches are very rooted in nature.
Right.
We are aware of the energy around us, and so we're very bonded to nature. We're settled on land in our communities, and so witches are very rooted. And I think that that's not depicted clearly. Um, and I think the lighthearted depictions of witches um, are less harmful. I think they're a less harmful stereotype. The other thing I think is how surprised people are to find out their neighbor's a witch,
Right.
or that you can be interested in the same things a witch is and not even be calling yourself a witch. Many
I
people, recognize they work with the energy of crystals.
uh-huh.
Very popular. A lot of people know what the mini crystals do. I bump into people all the time who are into herbal teas and remedies.
Right.
I think it's a fuzzy line that people aren't aware of so much. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting when I was reading up on Appalachian grannies when they came over here, when the Dutch came over here because they were fleeing persecution for their right to practice their religion, and they came here. Um, they were in some of the poor mountainous areas in the Appalachians. And I thought it was interesting because they were the midwives. They were the ones who helped with infections or fevers or headaches through herbs. So there's a lot of herbology that's actually the basis of what witches' practices are. which is very natural and I think makes a lot of sense. And I think to a lot of people, when you put it in those terms, it does make sense that, of course, there were ointments that they would make back then or, some sort of a mixture that they made the child drink that was, in hot water, but maybe looked like a tea, but maybe was for, to get rid of some sort of fever. And, so yeah, I think what you do makes a lot of sense. And in the movie Practical Magic, when they had the potion store, I thought that was a nice depiction of witches and how they were all sort of, stocking the shelves, you know, and they wanna help people.
Yeah, I think very much. I kind of have a little private joke because every now and then somebody who poo-pooed what I do comes around quietly and says, I need a little help. Can you help me with this? And so the inner family joke is in the end, everybody comes to the witch.
It's true. It's true, and I think it's interesting the people that, as you would say, are the non-believers, they do come around. They'll still ask you for it when they need it and not apologize for their treatment of you before, so I
Experienced a little of that too, Allison.
People I yeah, I have, it's more of, people don't see us as a person, we're more of a function, and so I would be at a social event and have somebody say, "Yeah, can you help me?" And I'm like, "Well, first of all, I'm at a social function, so no, because I have boundaries with the living and the dead." Um, but also, they'll use you. And I found people, and I get emails a lot, and I worked murders for 20 years, and when all my girlfriends retired, I finally thought, "Well, do I get to?" And that was up to me, so I decided to not go to the darker places anymore by actually working cases. Um, and so when I still get emails every day with a picture of somebody that's missing somewhere in the world, and I have to tell people that I'm not working cases, but it's interesting, and I know people are often just looking for help, but they're not thinking about the toll that it takes on the person and how many people do come at us, wanting, something for nothing, or they want something just because, or it's a stranger who wants me to look into a case, and they're a stranger, so I would never, only at the request of families, obviously, or law enforcement. And so it's just interesting having to establish boundaries as being people in the ethereal that people see as almost boundaryless.
And very much, I think one of the things that people often feel about witches is that they can, in some way, do something against your will to hex you or curse you.
Mhm.
And I actually have people who do come to me wanting to hex or dominate their will.
Right.
Somebody came to me and said, I've been messaging this man for 3 years, and he's never replied to me. Me, can you help me with a love spell? I want to command him to love me. And you get those kinds of things, and it's just
Wow.
understanding.
Right.
And I think the the depiction of the white witch is very popular in our culture because the white witch seems harmless
Right.
and works with energy,
Mhm.
at the same time believes strongly in not doing anything to influence an outcome.
Right.
And so the reason I call myself a gray witch is because I do get people who come to me who are sometimes among the more disenfranchised in our culture.
Mhm.
They don't always have access to the things that they need to protect themselves or to right a wrong.
Right.
So that's a little bit where the gray area comes in. I will teach people how to protect themselves. So any negative energy directed at them bounces back to the sender.
Right.
I think is completely fair.
Absolutely.
Oh, I will help them influence situations to their favor sometimes when they're trapped in an unfair situation
Right.
or differential, is working against them.
Right.
I call myself a gray witch.
I like that. There's synchronicity to it. Did you know as a child that is this just how you were raised, how you were brought up, or is it something that you innately knew?
Well, it was innate, but at the same time, I was raised in a family where they never used the word witch, but at the same time, they referred to our having gifts.
Mhm.
And every baby born into our family, and I found this to be true when I had my babies, the elders take the baby and they search to find the birthmark.
Oh,
No, they're one of us.
nice.
I got it from both sides of the family. I was very fortunate. My father attributed the gifts to being Scotch Irish.
Right.
And so my great grandmother, who was from Appalachia, she was a Scots Irish midwife.
Mhm.
And so she delivered, not only my mother and aunt, but all their friends and several other people that I had met years ago.
Mhm.
He was their healer. They would come to her, people who didn't have a lot of money or access to the fancy medical care. And at that time, I think probably what she offered might have been even better
Right.
doctors were offering.
Sure.
As my grandmother said, in those days, people went to hospitals to die.
Right.
Nobody died in my great grandma's kitchen.
Right.
And so I very much, it came down to me this idea that we have these ancestors and this knowledge that we could tap into at any time. So in my family, well, it's kind of funny. My sister just recently said to me, she in a phone call, she goes, Margaret, did you know other people weren't raised looking for omens and signs? And I said, how do they do that? And I said, I don't know. And she said, they don't even know to ask.
Right.
We were raised omens and signs and stories about our ancestors,
If a broom falls, company's coming. Yeah.
our home. It was just taken for granted that we could work with them in helpful ways, but it was always kept under wraps. Don't let anybody know.
Right.
Like in Appalachia, those witches are associated with Christianity and use the Bible like a spell book.
Mhm.
And so I was also raised as, in that Christian bubble.
Mhm.
Nobody outside the bubble could know.
Right. Right. Yeah, I guess that would
Here's my grandma gave me my first deck of tarot cards when I was 12, and they were hard to find back then.
Sure.
Ordered them. We lived in a small town. She ordered them through the bookstore, and it was the Marseille tarot, so it was in French.
Mhm.
And she had told me about the cards, but I wanted a book, and she ordered the book, and it was in French. And so she used that as my motivation to take French in high school.
That's great. I mean, if it works.
That's how I was raised. So it comes very naturally to me. So the way lately, with all the books that are coming out and the opening up, I think, of the magic community,
Right.
learning a lot of things that I didn't know because I was raised in a certain little niche. So it's very exciting, Allison. I'm very grateful.
Why do you think spells or incantations carry power?
Well, they carry power because of the person who's performing them.
Mhm.
A lot of times there's a popular spell on the internet where it says to write your wishes on a bay and to burn the bay leaf. And that sounds simple enough.
That'd be a big bay leaf, wouldn't it?
Because, people will do it just sort of in a mindless way and wonder why didn't the wish come true? Well, spells and incantations aren't wishes.
Mhm.
They're actually a raising of energy and intention,
Right.
focusing with your will that energy and intention to make something happen, to manifest something. And so the power comes, of course, from our ability to visualize and focus energy.
Right.
So, spells often use crystals, herbs, candles. We find things that vibrate at the same energy level as the thing we're trying to manifest and
Right.
boosts our message as we send it out into the universe. So, actually, the other power in an incantation is there are people who are even hesitant to speak a spell or incantation out loud,
So to me, that's weird. But I get it.
thinking it is not the same as the focus and energy when you send that incantation out into the universe and those energy waves ripple.
Mhm.
The other thing is, of course, I believe there are spirits and energy around us.
Right.
We'll hear those things and carry them on.
Right.
I really think the simplest spell brings together, uh, the basic components that you need to really focus, direct your energy and your intention. And that's really what magic's about.
That's so interesting because with the dead, you can say it in your head and they hear you. So you don't have to say it out loud when you're talking to a loved one. But when for instance, I always tell people that work in the medical field or around, sickness or death, when you take a shower or a bath to visualize everything, all the illness, the death, anything that bothers you going down the drain away from you. And I'll actually say down the drain away from me, down the drain away from me. And I feel better. I feel so much better when I let go of a reading that I did. Or I read a woman yesterday who was terminal and I was picking up on all of her, disease and that really it wrecks you sometimes. And so I had to do the whole down the drain away from me in order to self protect. So I find what you're saying very true that saying that out loud makes a difference. But if you're talking to the dead, you can say it in your head. You're welcome.
What what you just mentioned is one of the things that people come to me for a lot with. They feel that they need a cleansing. And
Right.
simple things I recommend, especially for people in the medical field or, correctional officers, I have a lot of them that come to me, is a shower cleansing.
Yeah, really?
Pretty much exactly what you're saying. And
Oh,
have a little recipe for a salt scrub that I recommend because witches very much we use salt as a cleansing agent,
yeah.
protection. And it's a little salt scrub that you can make. And at the end of the shower, I have them wash with that and say pretty much what you're saying, and then wash it all down the drain. So,
Well, Margaret, I ordered my protection oil from your site and I will be bathing in it. So thank you so much. So when did you become interested in making oils and potions? And do you have a favorite?
I grew up making potions and oils. Um, and, I do have a favorite, and it's one that is uh, not currently, I don't think, on my site, but I think I should restock.
Yeah.
Love the love oils.
Oh, nice.
And because, it's not just about romantic love, but in the world, when we go out, there's so many uh, negative things sometimes that we
Sure.
interact with. That giving ourselves that little energy boost towards love and attracting the good things into our space.
Right.
Really like the effects of the love oil quite a bit. I'm a big believer in protection, especially with the um, the fields a lot of that my clients work in.
Right.
It's sometimes you can overprotect. Some witches really go full help with protection.
Right.
I think sometimes we need to open that door and let a little love into our lives.
Okay. So, protection oil, will it deflect love too? Is it like sage where it gets rid of all energy, good and bad?
It's pretty strong stuff. It doesn't
Okay.
get rid of the negative energy. I mean, it doesn't get rid of everything. It's not like sage where you create a little energy vacuum. So it's
Sage. I ordered your lavender sage.
about sage is cleansing. The lavender brings good things in.
I love that. That's what I want.
Sages are bundled with other herbs because
Yes.
you to create
Dragon's blood. I've got your dragon's blood sage.
to bring in the good after dragon's blood sage. That wipes everything.
So sweetgrass. So I burned some sweetgrass after the dragon's blood sage.
Grass is wonderful. Yeah,
Great. I have that.
recommended. Cedar is another good one. Palo Santo wood is another good one. And if you don't have any of those things, even taking a cinnamon stick from your kitchen and burning that.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
So when you're in a pinch, most of us have that available. But the protection oil is not as strong, and it really is more transmuting negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes love, even though we think it's just out there waiting for us, I find there are a lot of people who, without realizing it, have energy blocks put up around love.
I agree completely.
And so
Or
the love oil helps them to be a little
okay. Because energetically, I've noticed, and I used to say this to clients when I was first doing this professionally, I'd say, you've sort of got an energy that has a no vacancy sign on your forehead. In other words, you have room for nobody in your life. You're emitting an energy out there that to not talk to you or that you're not interested. And I said, so you're not drawing people to you. You have to adjust your energy because right now you're a little off-putting and you don't mean to be.
exactly.
So,
And I have in my store, I have a little love kit, and people have been afraid to order it because they don't want to cast a spell to force somebody to love them.
unlike the other woman, love me, damn it. It's like, no, he doesn't love you.
He's taken a restraining order out, but
I'm sure he has. I'm sure he has.
but this is a kit because a lot of people, I say to them basically what you've just said so well.
Mm,
You need to open your life up to love.
right.
Some of the things that you can do. And then I tell them not to be surprised because when love does come into their life will have to change.
Don't you find also that people with low frequency energy will, in their mind, want somebody that's a high caliber, high frequency energy that's successful and good looking and people love him? And I just think you need to meet his frequency in order to draw that caliber of dude in because right now you're going to draw in somebody of your own energy. Because like energy draws in like energy.
And I think what they don't understand, they think that by getting that person in their life, some of that will rub off on them.
Right.
How it works.
No.
Saying is completely true. Being ready to
Right.
the kind of person you want into your life. And
Right.
a lot of the people who do come to me for tarot readings and for magic,
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of people who want love into their lives.
Right.
And some of them,
That makes sense.
some are not, but
You know, it's interesting. I think some people don't get the concept of adjusting their energy because they tend to not project energy to begin with. But it's why people are so attracted to singers and performers because the performers are giving you all of their energy, all of themselves, and it fills us up. When we're low on energy, it fills us up. And so we become attracted to it. And so people out there that you'll see, and I love observing people, you'll see the person with the most energy have the biggest crowd around them because they project their energy and people are feeding off of it. And so the person in the corner with low energy, I try to stay in the corner so people leave me alone. but but somebody always floats over. But anyways, it's funny. I'll try to not emit energy, but I have an energy that just makes people want to ask you, "What do you do?" So that's okay though. Can you tell us about candle magic? Because that's something like what's a black candle? I've seen those in Practical Magic and such, and I don't really. I'm gonna have to read up on that because I'm new at researching this, but I find it fascinating.
Well, the candle magic, the flame and the wax is a very potent combination for absorbing and transmitting different kinds of energies. And a black candle in particular is actually most often used when you're trying to deflect negative energy.
Okay.
When sometimes it happens in our lives that we need to uh,
Shouldn't those be on our birthday cakes? Put some black candles on our birthday cakes. Makes perfect sense.
open. People are afraid of black candles, and if they see
Yeah.
it has a black candle in it,
Right.
no, I don't think so.
Right.
Interesting because traditionally there were just candles.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a new nuance to the whole thing that you can when you do candle magic, there are different colors that vibrate with certain kinds of energy.
Right.
And people, respond to that even in their daily lives when they choose certain kinds of clothing and they notice people responding in different ways.
Right.
So, candles, for example, if you wanted, say, love, you would use a pink candle.
Oh, okay.
Well, for healing, a lot of times you would use a green candle. For things like fertility, prosperity, money spells, you would use a green candle.
Okay.
It's associated with growth. And so when you do candle magic, white candle will work for anything.
Okay.
There's a list of correspondences of the color candle that you choose. And then what you can do to further boost your spell is you can write, say, if it's a healing spell, you can write a name or an intention on the candle. You can carve it into the wax,
Interesting.
buy those vigil candles, and write it right on the glass. If
Okay.
you're artistically inclined, and then you can take the oil, like say you had a black candle and you were looking for protection. You could take your protection oil and you could spread a little of that on your candle.
Okay.
And you could also put some herbs associated with protection on the candle.
Does it work on the wick or does it make it so the wick won't light then?
Well, you rub it on the candle itself.
Okay. So the candle itself, not the wick.
Self
Okay.
to bring something to yourself. Like if you were doing love, you would use a love oil and you would take your candle and you would bring it to you. So you would come up from the bottom to the middle and from the top to the middle. So
I'm thinking you could just put it on his back and give him a massage and that would work. He'd want a second date. Yeah.
fun.
Oh, thank you.
Oils, and then you can add your herbs and you put your candle out. And then what I always do is I always pick some crystals that resonate with the energy that I'm working with.
Hmm.
And say for protection, I like kyanite, I like tourmaline, those are my favorites, and selenite. And so I put those around my candle. And so then you kind of got this little energy set up.
Uh-huh.
And then what you would do, or what I would do, is I light the candle. And then you sort of gather your energy. Some people rub their hands, you can clap, some people beat a drum. You can use an incantation.
Okay.
Personally, I like to draw the energy of the flame. I'm a Aries, I'm a fire girl.
Sure.
You can probably tell. I kind of gather that energy, and then I read an incantation, my intention. And I'll often read it 3 times, and with each time, I'll increase my fervor. And then I let the candle burn out, and I always give thanks. I always thank whatever universal energy is there helping me along.
Oh, I like that. I've always done that innately at Thanksgiving. I've always thanked the turkey for its sacrifice and for like our nourishment. And then I found out that was an American Indian thing, which ended up making sense later. Uh-huh. Because I did the 23andMe and turned out that I'm part Native American. So I was like, great, okay, well, that was just from somewhere. But yeah, you thank it for its nourishment, and it's just a way of sending out positive energy and showing thanks. And so it makes sense to my family. So we do it at Thanksgiving every year.
So interesting because I think one of the biggest parts of witchcraft for me and for many of the people that I now work with
Uh-huh.
really changed their lives. Every morning I get up and I light a candle in my kitchen. Otherwise, I don't remember to do it right away. But while I'm making my coffee, which is of course a potion, I need
Mm-hmm.
a potion,
Sure.
candle, and I have a little book where I write down, uh, little verses that would inspire me to start my day. And
Mm-hmm.
candle, and I read one of those, and I give thanks. I take
Okay.
of silence, and then I just give thanks. And it's really transformed my days. And the people that I work with, they're surprised that such a small thing as expressing gratitude
Right.
opens up those doors in your life.
Well, and I think that's all part of the energy of don't take more than you give. And I think that why our world is imbalanced right now is there are a lot of takers out there that don't give back. So what you're doing, I have to hope, brings a little more balance to the world for the people that don't do that. I was curious, what is dragon's blood?
Oh, doesn't that just sound wonderful? Dragon's
I was so excited.
blood.
Yes.
Dragon's blood is actually a resin from a tree.
Okay.
I don't I don't know the Latin name. There's a couple of different trees that are related, and that's a sap that comes from them. So when I order dragon's blood,
Yeah.
this big hard ball of resin. Oh wow, I feel extra witchy when
Oh, nice.
it comes.
Well, yeah, of course you would.
So many things. You can make incense. You can actually burn the dragon's blood. You can,
And that's protection? The property's protection? Okay.
protection. And there are people who write spells. They make an ink out of dragon's blood.
Oh, wow.
So
Nice.
is just a very, very strong protection, and it's been used
Okay.
a long time.
Well, you better make some more because I think my listeners are going to want to order some of this.
Blood really, really is the strongest cleanser. And combined with sage, it will wipe out everything.
Okay.
You burn your dragon's blood, you're going to want to bring in your sweetgrass, your cedar, your palo santo, whatever.
So is this haunted house worthy? Like if you want to clear a house, will this clear a house?
That's the best.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to send everybody to you. That is so good to know.
Oh, have you tried dragon's blood yet?
I didn't know. Now I do. I'll never unforget that. I'll never forget that. Oh my gosh. And I love that you have so many different kinds of sage on your site too. So people will definitely want to check that out. And I got my prosperity oil. What is at the bottom of it?
Wrong.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Essential oils. 100% essential oils is what I use when I mix with the carrier oil. And even the carrier oil in your prosperity oil is made from sunflower oil.
Okay.
Flowers are so strongly associated with the sun, and the sun's energy brings abundance.
Uh-huh.
Flower with all its seeds, that's another strong association with.
Okay. So, do you dabble this behind your ear? Like, where do you put it?
People who use my oils and my energy cleansing sprays as cologne. But
Okay.
prosperity oil can be used in so many ways. Just a little dab on a wallet that you carry with you.
Okay.
Upstairs, I have a
I'm gonna shine my purse with it then. Like, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
select conditioner.
No, no, that's fine. I won't do that. So where?
Dab of that on a bill,
Yeah, yeah.
and you sprinkle on just a little cinnamon, because cinnamon makes things move fast. It's very high energy. And then you take that bill and you kind of shake some of it off, and you fold it up and put it in your wallet or purse, and it will bring abundance right to you.
I wonder if it works on contracts. Put it on a contract.
Protection oil or the abundance oil on a contract?
Right. Yeah, that's a valid point. I guess the lawyer is the protection, so I guess maybe more the abundance.
You use dragon's blood to cleanse your office lately.
I'm excited about this new find of dragon's blood, and I'm gonna order my. I told you my doctor already wants me to get some for him because he got a divorce. So I don't think people realize that educated people from all walks of life understand the principle behind herbology, and innately it just resonates with humans as making sense. And so I think people have been doing it for all time, all time, trying to find things that heal and make us feel good. And, I think going to your site's going to help a lot of people. And you had such fabulous items on your site as well. I mean, I could have spent days, but I only had 15 minutes at the time. But
Much, Allison. I
oh my gosh.
so much.
Oh, I have,
And finding new goodies. So
yes. No, I love it. I love it. And you had so many resources. You had like a book for young witches, and you had all kinds of resources. So people need to check out your store. And I follow you on Instagram, and that's where I found you. And I had been trying to research Appalachian Grannies, and it was just so meant to be that I stumbled upon your site, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And so I followed you for a couple of weeks, and then I was like, I want to have her on my show. So thanks for coming on my show. I'm glad to know you.
Allison, I'm so grateful to know you as well. I've learned something each day from you.
Oh, well, if you have any questions about the dead, I'm your girl. I've got you. And where can people find you and your store on social media?
Well, I have a website, grannymagic.com, and I spell magic with a CK, MAGICK. So grannymagic.com. And then I'm on Instagram, and I'm also on Facebook at Margaret Jameson, Granny Magic.
All right. Well, everybody go check out Margaret. She is a very cool person, and she knows things. So thank you so much for enlightening us all on herbology and all things witchy today. Please come back. Come back anytime. Honestly, love to have you on and talk more about this subject. And thank you to my Dead Life listeners for tuning in, and to all of my believers out there, don't stop believing.